All right, Reddit, buckle up because my life has become the kind of chaotic mess you typically only read about on this website. I am Bethany, 28 years old, female, and I am married to my husband Chad, who is 29 years old, male. For the most part, our marriage is relatively peaceful, discounting Chad's rather intense dedication to competitive lawn bowling. However, my family is another story entirely. It seems they believe our property functions as a convenient repository for their various problems, specifically their offspring. The root of much of this drama stems from Chad's sister Darla, who is 36 years old, female, and unfortunately infertile. Now, I feel for Darla, I truly do. I cannot imagine the pain of wanting children and being unable to conceive. However, her response to this heartbreak has been less than ideal. A little while ago, Darla, in all seriousness, demanded that I give her my firstborn child, should I ever have one, because, in her words, she deserves to know the joy of motherhood. As polite as I could manage, I explained that my husband and I are not planning on having children. This led to a scene at a family dinner that involved Darla sobbing loudly into her mashed potatoes, while simultaneously accusing me of robbing her of her happiness. It was a truly delightful evening, all around. The reason Chad and I are child-free is not due to any animosity toward children. I genuinely love children. I think they are hilarious, imaginative, and full of untapped potential. The problem is my brain has a rather unusual response to their presence. If I see one, hear one, or even think about one for an extended period, I fly into a blind rage. I do not simply get irritated or frustrated. I am talking about a full-blown, uncontrollable fury that results in significant property damage and, frankly, puts my own well-being at risk. The last time I was subjected to prolonged exposure to children, specifically during a particularly chaotic family Christmas gathering, I ended up rearranging the entire living room furniture, using only a rubber mallet and a disturbing amount of glitter. It was not my finest moment, so for the sake of my sanity, my safety, and the structural integrity of our home, Chad and I have made the responsible decision to remain child-free. Darla, however, does not seem to accept this. At every family event, she loudly complains about how her meaningless life is all my fault. She makes dramatic pronouncements about how she will never know true happiness because I am selfishly hoarding all the potential babies. It is a truly bizarre and uncomfortable situation, made worse by the fact that nobody ever stands up for me. Apparently, my mental stability and personal safety are less important than Darla's perceived maternal longings. I have genuinely considered investing in noise-canceling headphones to wear at all family gatherings, but Chad, ever the diplomat, insists that would be rude. As if that was not enough familial drama, my own family has decided to contribute to the chaos, specifically my brother Kevin. Now, Kevin is a good guy, I suppose, but he has what one might delicately term a high fertility rate. To put it bluntly, he has a lot of children. I honestly lose count. There are 7 or 8, maybe even 900. Okay, that is obviously an exaggeration, but sometimes it feels that way. These children are, to put it mildly, energetic. They are also frequently unwashed and almost perpetually screaming. They run wild, leaving a trail of destruction and sticky fingerprints in their wake. They are like a miniature, unorganized army of tiny, sugar-fueled terrors, and I avoid them whenever humanly possible. Recently, Kevin decided that he and his wife Brenda needed a break from their parental duties. He called me up last week, all casual and breezy, and asked if I could babysit the aforementioned miniature terrors for the upcoming weekend. Absolutely not, Kevin, I said, clipping my toenails with a rather alarming degree of intensity. I have plans this weekend. Plus, you are well aware of my condition. I cannot be around that many children without risking a complete and utter meltdown that will likely involve power tools and possibly setting things on fire. It is simply not a safe or responsible idea. Oh, come on, Bethany, he whined, adopting a tone that I have come to recognize as his guilt trip voice. Family helps family. Besides, they are practically angels when they are not actively trying to injure each other. You will love them. They are demons disguised as children, Kevin, I retorted, and no, I will not love them. I will in all likelihood destroy something valuable, or possibly injure myself. Either way, it is a disastrous plan and I am putting my foot down. No, absolutely not. End of discussion. I thought I had made myself clear. I thought I had been firm and unequivocal. I thought I had successfully avoided a weekend of babysitting duties. I was, as usual, wrong. The next morning, I awoke to a sound that can only be described as a symphony of shrieking, wailing, and general unrestrained mayhem. I reluctantly dragged myself out of bed and peered out the window, and what I saw nearly gave me a coronary. My front lawn was completely overrun. My brother's children were everywhere. They were scaling my prize-winning rose bushes, digging elaborate tunnels in my meticulously maintained flower beds, and chasing the neighborhood squirrels with a zeal that bordered on homicidal. It looked like a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie, only instead of zombies, it was just a horde of sugar-crazed children. And Kevin? He was nowhere to be seen. I caught a fleeting glimpse of his minivan, speeding away down the street, leaving a trail of dust, exhaust fumes, and shattered hopes in its wake. I am fairly certain I saw him giving me the finger as he peeled out. I immediately saw red. I felt the familiar rage building inside me, the urge to grab my trusty sledgehammer and unleash my fury upon the nearest inanimate object. However, this time I managed to resist the destructive impulse. I took a deep breath. I channeled my inner calm, something I learned in therapy a few years back. Then, a brilliant, albeit slightly devious, idea struck me. If I could not beat them, perhaps I could relocate them. I may be prone to fits of destructive rage, but I am not stupid. I can be resourceful when the situation calls for it, so instead of attacking my surroundings with a hammer, I mustered up my willpower, grabbed my phone, and called Darla. "Darla," I said, my voice dripping with exaggerated sweetness, the kind one uses when plotting something truly wicked. "Good news. Remember how you were just lamenting the fact that you have no children to call your own? Well, I have some babies for you to adopt. Immediately." There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end of the line. I could practically hear the gears turning in Darla's head as she processed what I had just said. Then a high-pitched squeal of delight erupted from the receiver. "Bethany, are you serious? Oh my God, this is a dream come true. You have no idea how much this means to me." "Absolutely serious," I said, stifling a giggle. "They are all yours, completely free of charge. Just come and get them. They are currently occupying my front lawn, causing unspeakable levels of chaos and destruction. I guarantee they are 100% authentic and very enthusiastic." "I will be right there," she shrieked, and terminated the telephone call. 10 minutes later, Darla arrived, her eyes gleaming with a level of manic joy that I found genuinely unsettling. She rounded up my brother's children, herding them like a shepherdess with a newfound and slightly terrifying sense of purpose. She was practically vibrating with excitement. As she crammed them into her minivan, I could not help but feel a sense of, satisfaction, perhaps even a sense of triumph. I had solved my problem, and I had perhaps even made someone else's dream come true. It was a win-win situation as far as I was concerned. When my brother, Kevin, finally returned, expecting to find his beloved children peacefully playing in my backyard, he was understandably confused. "Where are my kids, Bethany?" he demanded, his face turning an alarming shade of purple. I shrugged with exaggerated innocence. "Oh, I gave them away. Darla wanted them, so I figured why not. They were more trouble than they were worth. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Not my problem anymore." My brother's face contorted with rage. He started yelling, accusing me of being insane, irresponsible, heartless, and a whole host of other unflattering adjectives that I shall refrain from repeating here. But I stood my ground, my conscience surprisingly clear. "Look, Kevin," I said calmly, crossing my arms, "you dumped your children on my property knowing full well that I have a condition. You knew that I could not be around them for any length of time without risking a complete and utter meltdown. You knowingly endangered my well-being and the safety of my home. So what did you expect? You reap what you sow, buddy. Not my circus, not my monkeys, and definitely not my problem anymore." The story should end there. A satisfying tale of revenge, a triumph of self-preservation, a testament to the importance of setting boundaries, right? Wrong. It turns out Darla has no intention of returning said children to their rightful parents. She claims they are hers now because they were abandoned. She has even started dressing them in matching outfits and forcing them to call her mommy. She posts pictures of them online constantly, with captions like, "My beautiful angels, and finally my dream has come true." I am fairly certain that she refers to them as her flock now, and may have even given them all names starting with a letter of the Greek alphabet. I actively avoid knowing the details. Naturally, Kevin and Brenda are beyond furious. They have been blowing up my telephone with angry text messages and increasingly unhinged voicemails. They have even threatened to call the police, a threat that I find somewhat amusing considering their own role in this entire debacle. But here is the kicker: the police are refusing to get involved. They actually laughed at me when I attempted to report it, stating that the whole situation was too ridiculous to be real. They pointed out that this entire scenario originated from a post on a parody subreddit with the shitpost flair, and told me that it is, at best, a civil matter. They instructed me to seek assistance from a mediator, whatever that even means, as if I had the time or inclination to engage in a formal mediation process over a situation this utterly insane. Like, who even checks that? I thought police would help, but no. Desperate, I tried to enlist my mother's support. I figured she would understand my reasoning, that she would see that I was simply trying to protect myself from a potential rage-induced incident. However, as usual, my mother had her own, rather unique perspective on the situation. She just shook her head, her eyes filled with a mixture of amusement and disappointment. "Bethany," she said, her voice laced with exasperation, "you are nearly as lacking in self-awareness as the people in the comments section, who will still think this post is real even after you explicitly stated that it is not. You are becoming like those guys at the bar who are always asking if I fell from heaven when I am literally wearing a halo. Those guys? You are becoming them." "Well, it could be real," I protested, feeling my hackles rise. "Stuff like this happens all the time, Mom. You know, there are a lot of messed up families out there. The internet is full of them. Look at Facebook." But she disagreed, launching into a familiar lecture about how my constant consumption of fake Reddit posts has slowly warped my sense of reality, and how concerned she is by how susceptible I am becoming to divisive nonsense and conspiracy theories. She said I will believe anything as long as it conforms to a narrative that supports my own biases. It was all very dramatic and frankly rather insulting. Then, to add insult to injury, she transformed into the winged serpent Quetzalcoatl, again, launched herself through my living room window, shattering the glass and scattering shards everywhere, and flew away, squawking something about the impending apocalypse and the importance of embracing inner chaos. This is a surprisingly regular occurrence in my life. I have repeatedly asked her not to do that anymore, especially since it makes it incredibly difficult to sell my house should I ever decide to move. However, that, as they say, is a whole other post for another day. So, yeah, that is where I am at. My brother is furious and threatening legal action. My sister-in-law is completely delusional and possibly planning to raise my brother's children as members of some sort of bizarre cult. My mom is a mythical deity with a penchant for dramatic exits and shattering my windows, and the local police think I am a certifiable crazy person. Just another Tuesday, really. So tell me, Reddit, am I the asshole in this situation? Was I wrong to give away my brother's children? Should I have handled things differently? Should I have just embraced the rage and destroyed my entire house? And more.